So how is it that someone can have like 20 terabytes full of child pornography?
Wait, is that how we're opening the episode, Russ? Do you not even say, hey,
I thought
everybody,
you were
welcome
opening
back
the
to the...
episode.
Oh, was I supposed to say something? Oh, yeah. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back.
It sounded
friends,
like you were.
welcome back to the Lay Epic Gamer Podcast. So how many terabytes of child porn do you have on your computer?
No, not you, but like how...
Yeah, I
that's
know.
so much data. How do you have that much
you guys
data?
are going to get a knock
First
on
of
the
all,
door.
it's
by the
pronounced
FBI.
data, but continue.
Oh, shit.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, it
It's
doesn't
not.
matter. Potato. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Mumkey Jones keeps a drill on top of his hard drive, which I thought was interesting. I
And a
thought maybe he
magnet.
was like fixing his ceiling or something.
We've been to Mumkey's house. He has an entire room just full of servers, like
Hey,
in a server
how did you get
farm.
in there? I had a lock on that door. I said, do not enter unless you're me. Rusty, what was the question?
All right, so I did have a question for you that I think would be interesting. When you're having to constantly act as a 13-year-old girl to catch these predators, do you have to keep up with all the modern trends and everything that a 13-year-old girl would know about? Because I would be so fucking, like, I would just come off like a fucking 30-year-old man.
You would say, it's
Yeah,
lit,
well,
fam.
absolutely. I mean, a few years ago, I used to say, "Oh, Justin Bieber's my new favorite," blah, blah, blah. But now I have to think of like, who are these new artists now that little girls or little boys or whoever look up to and are the top thing in pop culture. You really have to pay attention to pop culture. yeah, Rusty Cage.
Big knife game fans.
And like sometimes when predators say like, "What are you doing now?" and I say I'm on YouTube, blah blah, and they say like, "What are you looking at?" I can't say, "Oh, I'm on the Rusty Cage channel."
Yeah,
I have to say something that's
keyboard
more
cat.
age.
You
I
would
have
be
to
surprised.
say, I have to say little kid stuff. I mean, well,
Rusty
preteen or
Cage.
teen.
No, yeah. What are you talking about? Sorry, you cut out. But what are the things that you would have to say for that? Like, what is even going on YouTube right now? Is it Jake Paul?
I have to really pay attention to what's the newest stuff, and as well as how 13-year-olds talk or 14-year-olds or whatever age I'm pretending to be. I have to keep a mental inventory of all the information in regards to what a typical 13-year-old does, what a typical 13 watches, what a typical 13-year-old what kind of hobbies, what kind of media they consume. I really have to focus on what is current in that age group, and it's difficult because I'm 26, and so, I mean,
You got to start getting disconnected from it, and you as yourself, and like outside of your stings.
It's like taking on a new identity. It really is, and so it's very kind of difficult for me. It just requires a lot of work as far as research, and I don't know. Like, I don't have any like connections that are like that young, so I can't just like contact my little sister, and I don't have one, but I can't I don't know. So I just have to research this kind of stuff, and it's...
Is it a lot of trial and error? Like some people say, "What the fuck, dude?"
No, I don't
You're
think
clearly
so.
a 26-year-old man.
Luckily, the
I've
people
never
he's
had that.
talking
It's
to will
amazing.
be just as ignorant as him, I imagine.
Yeah, it's so weird because, and I mess up when I mess up sometimes, and they don't catch it. It's like I say stuff that's inconsistent because if I'm pretending to be someone else, I can't say that I live in an apartment, in the city, blah blah. If I say I go somewhere else, if I live somewhere else, I have to like have all these things in my mind, like almost like a list, and I do. I look and I have notes about what I say because it's completely made up, so I have to remember what I say. And so yeah, it's difficult, and I have screwed up to where I wasn't consistent, and I thought, oh, this is going to be the end of me when I realized that. And then I'm like, oh, like, no, the person didn't catch it. And it's amazing because if I was a predator, I would try to be like, if this really wasn't a 13-year-old girl or whoever, then I'm going to test this person on something that I already know of, that I'm going to see if they're lying to me or not, right? See if if this is fishy. But most of the times that never happens. They don't test me. And that's okay. I don't mind that. It makes my job
speaking
easier.
of being fishy, I think we've all jumped this shark in this first podcast because we keep talking about these little girls, but you are... you do this as a little, like a 13-year-old boy as well, right?
Yeah, I pretended to be a 13-year-old boy in real life too, not just
Yeah,
online.
I saw that. Oh my god, that seemed like the most awkward video that you put out because you are what? You've got to be like 6'5".
Yeah, I'm 6'1", but the guy was 6'5". Like the guy that I met up, he was huge. But yeah, I'm 6'1", and like I thought like I was pretending to be, let's see, 13. Yeah, I was pretending to be 13. I told him I was almost 14, right? So because I knew that I'm like 6'1", right?
Oh, that's why he's 6'1". He's almost 14.
Yeah. So
Checks
like
out.
well, it was. I mean, it was cool because I used old photos of me from like 2005 when I was 12, and like it was pretty sweet. Because it felt weird because I'm like, this is me, and he's meeting me, but 2005 me versus 2016.
Oh shit! So it was accurate in his brain, at least to a degree, because he's like
totally. But but you know,
I imagine when you meet that
like
guy. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm gonna have to hide my eyes because you know you can tell a lot. I mean, I can't pretend to be a 13-year-old when I'm like what 23. You know what I mean? I can't do that. And so I wore like sunglasses, mind you, my video camera glasses, and I shaved my face really good. I think I shaved it like bare. But then you have, of course, you know, the aged like bone structure and like I don't know. I shaved my arms too, and just because, but I don't know. The dude didn't.
One
say
mistake
anything.
was that you were wearing a T-shirt that said "I'm 23." You should have changed the T-shirt.
I had a hunch. I was walking with a hunch, just so that I don't know. I guess in his
Like the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I couldn't believe it though because I'm like, oh dude, like yeah, but I don't know. If he did think I wasn't 13, maybe he went along with it. But like,
yeah,
he never said anything.
We saw that.
By the way,
go ahead.
Yeah, this guy said he was 16. And then I'm like, okay. And he sent a picture of himself. I'm like, dude, you are not 16. You're like 24. And then later on, he said he was 24. I'm like, dude, duh. Like, you don't look like 16. So, yeah, a lot of predators lie about their age because they think that so someone underage would run off if they said they're 24 as opposed to 16. But, I can do homework, you know, so I can figure it out.
I imagine when you meet up with a guy who's looking for a little boy, the conversation goes something like, "Now, being a pedophile is one thing, but a gay pedophile, that's where I draw the line."
It was very strange for me.
Special place in hell.
It was really weird for me because being in his car, I went inside his car.
Oh my God! Are you fucking crazy?
Yes. No, this is what I want to get into. Zach, you are crazy. You are.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not crazy.
Nobody else would want to do this.
You do things that in other videos that I'm like, oh my God! Like, are you? It has to take a certain type of mindset. I mean, I'll explain. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the mindset is because the first time I confronted predators, super nervous. I'm like, holy crap! I described it before as driving to my own funeral. That's what it felt like. It felt like I was gonna die. Right? It felt the anxiety and the stress was just unreal because I don't know what's gonna happen. What if? Right?
Is this like the first time that you've done this, or?
Yeah, the first time. Yep, and when I was 20, in 2013. But I learned early on that this is affecting my judgment. I can't think right. Like I can't think straight when I have to ask these questions. So I'm like, I learned that if you treat it as a game, if you pretend that you're in some sort of virtual reality, it makes you just be smoother mentally as far as not stressing out and not feeling anxious, to where it doesn't feel like real life. It feels like a game, and it's just me manipulating my mind. It's like what I've learned that helps, and at the same time it's dangerous because then I find myself going in their cars or in doing stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it's probably that fear and anxiety is there for a reason. And when you suppress it, I think you can do some stuff that later on when you go to bed at night, you think, holy crap. But
sure.
the thing that freaked me out that I didn't think anything of really at the time, it was scary. But later on that night, I'm like, holy crap. The guy's car, when I was inside his car, when I went to get out, I pulled on the door handle and it was unlocked. It was unlocked. It wouldn't open. The door was unlocked. It wouldn't open. I was pulling on the handle. I'm like, what the heck? And the guy, the predator, told me oh yeah, it doesn't open from the inside. Here you go. And then he rolled down the window, and I'm like, what? I had to open it from the out. I stuck my hand out the window, and I had to open it from the outside. I'm thinking, dude, this is a trap.
That's
and
like the bone collector.
Yeah, and part of me wondered, like, he was expecting 13-year-old me to show up. Maybe he was a little surprised that, yeah, I'm 6'1", I'm kind of a big guy. Maybe he thought that, dang, like, maybe he thought that, oh, I can't overtake him. I'm not going to trap him in here. He would fight back, right, and have a pretty good chance. And then I half wondered that maybe he rigged that. Maybe he set it up. And I thought, like, how many people has he done this to before, if any? I thought, like, was this rigged? I'm like, oh, like, that freaked me out later. I'm like, what?
Oh man, this is a dark question. But how many of these people that you've interacted with do you think have successfully gone through this scenario with actual children?
At least 2 that I know of. But at least 2, as far as having sex with kids.
Philip
God
Trump.
damn, man, that's gotta weigh heavily on you.
Well, yeah, and it's really sad because one of the guys that I confronted met up with someone who was 14 and had sex with her multiple times 4 months before I got to him. And the same app, on the same medium that I met the guy, some real underage girl did, and they had sex multiple times 4 months before I confronted him. And, it's just terrible. And it made me feel like crap because I'm like, dang, if only it was 4 months, I can't do anything about it. But it's like, you really realize how sensitive time is. And not only that, it's so overwhelming. These guys are everywhere, and it just really opened light to me in thinking that, dang, like, this problem really exists. Like, this is real. It's like, holy crap. It's like, oh my gosh. I don't know.
So I just wanted to maybe shift gears here a little bit to say that, so in the last episode, we talked a lot about sort of the psychology of child predators and the huge scope of the problem and how it's something that not many people really want to confront or deal with. I just wanted to know, Zach, your opinion on if this is sort of a new phenomenon, or, as dark as it is to say, if this is just human nature and people have always been doing this since the beginning of society.
Have
and
always
that
been doing what specifically?
I understand. Abusing kids.
children,
Yep.
and seeking arrangements with underage children. And I was wondering if you think that's sort of always been a thing, or if this is a new phenomenon, and if it is a new phenomenon, what systemically has been causing this rise in behavior?
Sure, like as a change from, say, like the Greek times where it was acceptable to have like a boy slave that was pretty much there for sex reasons or whatever.
AKA the good old days.
Oh, shit.
No, I think that back in the day, before the internet, I think, of course, yeah, there were predators everywhere, but I think that, like, at school and at churches, and still that exists, obviously, today, but I think that, I mean, if someone doesn't have access to children before the age of the internet, I think it was a lot harder to find, any given underage boy or girl to have sex with. I think the internet makes, and given how ubiquitous kids are online, I think that makes it so much easier for an adult to make a connection for their perverted intentions. And I think the internet has totally changed the game into where I think all these people existed throughout history and humankind. But I just think the internet is a tool that can be used for good and bad. And I think that it's just with these guys, they're not gonna tell people that they're predators. They're not gonna post an ad somewhere and be like, "Hey, I'm into this." But certainly on the internet, they're gonna find people. They're gonna reach out, and they're gonna find them, because the kids are all. That's why, like, any app, any website that kids use, you will find predators.
Oh, I mean,
it's
for
just so easy.
YouTube, for example, like that's the big thing.
Yeah, that hero Matt Wilson tried to stop it, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, what a joke, eh? But yeah, and then whereas back in the day, yeah, I mean, the only place you could go to I mean, it happened in families a lot too. It still does. Sexual assault in families is huge. It has always been, but it's just now with the internet, it's a whole different game.
Is it getting better or
makes
worse?
It easier, worse. Just because of how, even in the last 5 years, I would say it's getting worse. Just with all of these new apps, and it's just with people, I don't know, I see kids younger and younger, and I think some of it goes on the parents with, like, dude, if you have like a little 5-year-old And if the 5-year-old's on a smartphone and the 5-year-old doesn't have any sort of like software or anything that prevents them from going somewhere or being contacted by someone, it's just like, I think parents should really stay vigilant and knowing that, yeah, not everyone is good, and that people want to take advantage of their kids, and you just have to watch what they're doing.
I think to double down on that, one of the running themes of this podcast from the beginning is that nobody under the age of 18 should even be allowed on the internet. And once again, we're being proven right. You can't get internet raped if you're not on the internet. Ban teens and kids from the internet.
You know,
Ban
it's not fair. It's not fair to them because
no, fuck them. Who cares about fair? Get them off my fucking platform. Get out.
No, well, Rusty would lose like 80% of his audience.
Fuck Rusty.
Oh God. Listen, Zach, I've had videos of mine on YouTube be blacklisted because of this whole thing of the fear that there's pedophiles, I guess, communicating with each other in the comment sections.
You were one of those guys? No way.
Yeah, and this happened.
No way.
This happened
Dang.
a year and a half ago, before it really even blew up. And I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I talked to a guy on the inside of YouTube, and he told me that it was because I made a song. It was like a song kind of satirizing the fidget spinner phase.
No, it was pretty genuine.
I put my head in an oven at the end of the video.
Did YouTube disable your comments like they did to the Special Books for Special Kids channel?
Yeah, initially they disabled comments and ratings, and I'm not sure if it's still like this, but for a while, so this is a video called the Fidget Spinner song. I uploaded it on my second channel, but I think if you search for it on YouTube, you cannot find it. Won't show up in the search results on my main channel, and I'm like, this video has nothing to do with fucking. It's all about fidget spinners and like and mocking them as like an escape from depression.
You own a lot of them.
I have one.
That's a lot.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to mention that, and this is something that really pisses me off. It pissed me off about the Matt Watson thing, where for whatever reason in the media, and I see a lot of news publications, and I heard it on NPR radio the other day, where for some reason there's this agenda that YouTube is this hotbed where they're somehow intentionally harboring pedophiles, and it's simply just.
I think it's blown out of proportion because I mean, I don't see a lot of that on. Like, I don't see any of that on my channel. Like as far
as you've said, Zach,
it's a joke though. If they do, I don't know. Like as far as some people
episode, there's the actual means, the actual routes that these pedophiles are taking are primarily through Snapchat and Kik and online message boards. YouTube,
and YouTube makes.
There is a bunch of really creepy stuff going on YouTube in terms of weird men voyeuristically watching videos of underage kids. But how on earth can you expect YouTube to deal with that? This site has over 1 billion active monthly users, and it's just, you've mentioned already that these pedophiles, they make up a network that they're a significant part of the population. Intending to want YouTube to get rid of all of them is just an impossible task. They're going to be there totally. Just out of an aspect of the number of people using this site. And the fact that the media has for some reason focused on YouTube and scapegoated YouTube as this big child endangerment problems while ignoring sites like Instagram, while ignoring sites like Kik and Snapchat, it's completely absurd to me.
It's not warranted. I think YouTube is so huge, right? It's like what, like the third biggest website, probably?
It's the second biggest site.
Oh, second. Yeah, dang. So, and yeah, it's like, it's such a big website, and like the amount of stuff, I mean, yeah, there's creepy stuff that is clearly, you know, targeting kids on YouTube. But I think as a whole, YouTube has very little percentage-wise as far as exploitation of minors compared to some other mediums that are so much smaller with I think so much more. And I just that one dude that wanted to start the Apocalypse 2.0 the type thing, that dude, what was his name? Matt Watson.
Matt Hero.
Like he was a creep, and he was such a hypocrite. You see some of that guy's videos, like he was like
there was just a video of him rolling down the window and harassing a girl on the side of the street.
A little girl, like a young girl.
Shit.
Yeah, that's screwed up. What I like about YouTube is, like, I don't even know if there's a way, but, like, I don't think you can message people, like, on YouTube. right?
I don't think
So-
anymore.
Well, they got rid of the DM system.
Yeah, and I think
And even
that's
then,
good.
that's not what people use YouTube for.
No,
It's so
not
much
at all.
easier to use Facebook or Snapchat or WhatsApp or
Yeah,
any of these other
totally.
messaging services. People, that's the thing that bothers me so much about this. YouTube is not it's not the means for pedophiles to lure in and attract children. It's all these other instant messaging sites. Yet for whatever reason, and YouTube has done so much more than any of these other sites to combat pedophilia.
Totally.
Like they said,
Totally.
they were blacklisting Rusty's comments back in 2017 or whenever that happened, and they've had to take drastic measures because of this recent Matt Watson controversy. Even though they've already been going through, like before that, they banned Club Penguin videos and Pokemon Go videos because they had CP in the title. They're clearly taking steps to police this stuff. It's just that quantitatively, there's just such an immense amount of content, comment
100%
sections,
agree.
and users on YouTube where it's an impossible. You're not going to get all of them. It's just
totally
impossible
agree.
based on they either have to like turn up the bot 1,000% because there's no possible way a human being or even a team of human beings can monitor all this content. But meanwhile, sites like Snapchat and Instagram, the news doesn't report on them, and they're arguably so much more damaging, and they provide so much more of a direct
Way
route for
more.
pedophiles to target children.
Yeah, especially when you have stuff like Snapchat and Kick where like messages disappear and crap like that. And YouTube has an algorithm to detect like child exploitation. They're trying. I think they're doing a really good job for how big the site is. Whereas some of these other messaging services or apps or websites, whatever, it's like they don't even have bots that detect stuff. It's like it's easy. Just create a simple program that will detect. Oh, this person's talking about this, and then this age person said that age. Just create just a little AI, and that's it. Like. But they don't do that. It's like, and I think YouTube is getting a lot of blame, and I think it's easy for people to target YouTube just because of how big they are, and I think that's unfair.
Right. They're casting a wide net, and so of course they're going to catch bad things from all sides. White supremacy or extremists on all different sides and pedophiles and whatnot. But yeah,
it just comes from people vastly underestimating the scale of YouTube and how much content gets uploaded to YouTube. In 2013, they estimated it was over 500 hours of content per minute. You could only imagine how high that number is now, 6 years later.
Dang, that's crazy. Yeah, no one can police that traffic by just with for humans. It's impossible.
obviously you'll find some random racist dude in his bedroom, but to somehow sit there and complain, and the same thing applies to YouTube somehow being a hotbed of pedophiles. You can't sit there and use that one video on a site where over 500 hours of content at least gets uploaded per minute. You can't look at that one circumstantial video and apply it to the whole site. That's just dishonest.
Well, yeah, of the victims that contact me and they tell me where they met the perpetrator, etc. I've never heard of YouTube. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm sure it happens quite a bit, but it's mostly just a service like Snapchat and Kick and
what is Kick? I'm a little bit ignorant.
It's like Snapchat.
It's
like
popular
it's kind
on
of
the west coast of
yeah.
the
It's
US.
getting kind of obsolete now, but it's not as hot as Snapchat. But yeah, it's pretty much just the same thing where it's just a messaging service.
Just instant messaging.
Yeah, it masks your number and and messages disappear and crap. That's why predators love it. That's why predators like Snapchat too. But everything can be recorded.
So you were banned from YouTube for a little bit.
I was banned from YouTube. It really weird. So I had this was in 2016 April, and I had Predator videos up, and just randomly they would give me strikes for harassment and bullying, and I thought this is weird because unlike some of the other people on YouTube exposing predators, I don't call them names. Maybe I called a predator a loser in one of the videos, right? But it's that's what he is, right? And it's not. I'm not harassing him, and it's not bullying. And so they gave me a strike for one video. I'm like, what the heck? And then I looked in the video and pretending to be the eyes of YouTube thing. What did they have a problem? It's like, oh, I called them loser. And then they gave me another strike for the same reason. But I'm like, I looked at the video. I'm like, there's no way. This isn't like, there's nothing, not even remotely close. And then they did it a third time. And I'm like, okay, this is like stupid, right? This is stupid. They banned my account. Yeah, they terminated it. I'm like, what?
But that's just because, for whatever reason, there's this media story that YouTube is somehow sympathetic to pedophiles, and they have to turn this stuff up to 1,000% on this detection. So yeah, you must get. I don't know if you have ads or not, but you must get killed, especially now after the Matt Watson controversy, where you probably can't get any sort of revenue on YouTube, at least on any of your videos dealing with pedophilia.
Yeah, I didn't make any money on YouTube in 2016, and like none of the Predator videos are monetized. But yeah, so I was banned from YouTube, and I appealed, and then they rejected my appeal. Check this out: YouTube, like Gmail, Google, they even said that they would get rid of my Gmail account associated with my YouTube account. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna get rid of all my emails with all these like victims, like me helping them and stuff like that, like telling them where to report. And I thought, like, this is stupid. And
but that's the thing, though. They can't patrol things on an individual basis. It's all bots doing all of it. It's all machine generated.
I don't know about that, because like the appeal, they totally for the strikes, I believe that. But the appeal, I think there was actually like someone like reviewing it and be like, oh, okay, they check this out. They rejected my appeal. They said
like a manual review.
Yeah, it was a manual review. Some real person from YouTube saw it. Yeah. And I'm like, what the heck, right? I'm out. And so randomly, like, everything was reinstated. I'm like, what the heck?
You got reinstated?
Reinstated. And I looked at my email.
Maybe I have hope.
Well, so this is what I was saying. I was telling you about Mumkey. He got kicked. And, I mean, Mumkey, like, you got kicked for you just explain. I don't need to do it for you.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're both just making little mini documentaries about people who commit crimes. I think you and I were men of the same beard. That's
totally. Well, check this out, Mumkey. Yeah, so it was just a very super kind of generic email that said, hey, like, we've determined that your channel does not violate our community guidelines. Therefore, we have reinstated your channel and Gmail account. I'm like, what? And then check this out. They got rid of all the strikes too. Like, wow. It's just like nothing.
Yeah. Why did you give me a strike in the first place?
Christ.
Yeah, like, why did you give me 3 of them, and then why did you reject my appeal when I appealed?
Since then,
it makes no sense.
Have you had any contact with anybody at YouTube, or like any nobody at all?
No, I think no contact whatsoever. I think it was a lot of people realizing that it was wrong and petitioning YouTube to say, like, dude, like this is real. Like, this guy is exposing these people. These people are getting arrested and blah blah blah. I think because I didn't fight it, I didn't like contact. I was dealing with so much crap, like criminally, like testifying against people, blah blah. That I'm like, okay, I'm gonna focus on this later. But it was only like a couple days later where I got reinstated and everything was clear and fine. And I'm like, dude, like, how do you? I could only just guess that maybe there was like a struggle inside YouTube. What do we do with this guy? I have no idea. It's just weird. YouTube is weird.
So yeah, I have reason to believe that even a lot of the manual reviews they talk about nowadays, even those are done by machines.
Oh, they're bots or a guy or a person who really
just
doesn't
our
give
experience
a fuck about their job.
Some perverted guy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like,
it's like, why would you take down my channel?
Fucked up individual who just maybe watches a couple seconds, sees something, because who knows? Maybe they have a queue of like 10,000 videos they have to watch that day. They see one thing and they go, "Oh, this guy's taking vigilante style justice and going bad." That can't be good for a site. Without really even looking and seeing the context of it.
Right. I mean, it kind of has to be like that, right? If there's so much content.
There's just no other alternative. There's simply too much content. You'd have to hire every single human on Earth if you want to actually manually review that content and actually sit down and watch the whole thing.
I would hate that job. Wouldn't that be terrible just watching? I mean, I don't know, because you could watch YouTube videos all day, but at the same time, it's gotta be like, ugh. Like the people that when you get one of those yellow things that say that you can't be monetized, whatever.
Yeah.
Like did someone really review that?
Right. How many? This channel, podcast channel. One day out of the blue, we randomly got stripped of the monetization because of it's what happens to a lot of channels over this year, 2019. A lot of channels have been
like podcast
have their monetization stripped due to repetitive content, and it's the means of that. The goal is intended to stop like machine generated bots
and spam
from,
and shit like that,
spamming the same video.
So
over and over
we have
again.
the same like graphic in all our videos,
right?
And so to them, they think that we're just re-uploading the same video over and over again.
Oh wow, interesting.
And that started happening with a lot of channels. I think that's what's happening, anyways.
But yeah,
Isn't it?
they so-called manually reviewed it, and Rusty got on Google Chat support with a guy who had to be a bot.
I talked to her about
some guy who
Hilarious.
was who had like a list of commands on like a flow chart going through. If he says this, copy and paste this in, because it wasn't acting like a human.
Honestly, I had to start speaking to him in binary, and then they seemed like he understood.
Oh, yeah, that's how
they reinstated it.
But yeah, we
Isn't that
actually resolved it because I have a confirmed human contact at YouTube, and I emailed them about it, and they actually got it resolved.
And that guy said
Susan?
he's still working on my case because you're a good friend who vouched for me, right, Emp? We're still waiting for that reply.
Hilarious.
No, not yet. Still
I-
waiting
you know,
for that
it's-
one. Not
isn't
even
that kind of
can't even
sad?
shoot one
Go
email
ahead.
for your old pal to get his life back. Emp can't even shoot one email saying, "Hey, maybe check this out." Not one.
Hey, I can do it for you. No, I don't have any contacts with YouTube.
No, Emp does.
What were you gonna say, Zach?
Yeah, isn't it kind of sad that when we post content on YouTube, we have to think of we have to put our minds in the mind of if I dare say that, the mind of a bot, and have to think of the way a bot may see our content. Isn't
hell
that sad
yeah.
that we have to satisfy what we know as machines rather than people?
Yeah,
that's not natural at all.
We have to trick the system, knowing that we're not doing anything wrong. But now we have to how do we convince through specific wording throughout our videos and blah blah blah?
Wouldn't that be sweet if there was something that everyone within YouTube knew, like a safe word that would make everything go through the system perfectly fine?
Well,
that we put it in the tags or something.
used to
At one point, it was
like
satire.
rainbows and sunshine.
I don't.
Really?
So
No
here's
way.
how I heard about your channel. I heard about it through Nerd City.
Cool, yeah.
So Nerd City actually made a video where they were talking about this exact same topic, like things you could put in the metadata.
Keywords.
Yeah, keywords like satire or parody, or there was another one where you could kind of
It's
get
based
a
on
pass.
the.
Oh, that's
It's based
awesome.
on the rating system. YouTube has
Oh,
this
darn.
covert
I
rating
think
system.
they already caught up to
where-
it though. I mean, that was
where
only like.
Yeah, it doesn't work anymore, but it worked for probably a few months, and then they patched it out or something, and they made an exception. But yeah,
Nerd
YouTube
City's
has
fault,
this.
Yeah.
They have this covert rating system that they put on videos because when you're an advertiser on YouTube, it's known that you can opt in to sending your ads to PG, PG-13, M-rated videos, and because of that system exists, there's secret. YouTube puts a secret rating on your channel, where either your teen channel or your
Right.
PG channel or
Like,
your
what would your-
general audience channel.
What would you think your channel would be rated, Zach?
Man, it's so weird because some of them are rated G, like the videos, and then other times it's like, I mean, I don't swear, and I mean that stuff. But at the same time, if you're talking about sexually explicit content, and I think it's important, and it's so difficult because it's like I don't want to censor anything, but I want to be age appropriate, but at the same time, I don't know. I think
No,
I
it's a
think
very
it's good to be
serious,
real.
mature
It's
issue.
good to be real to show real life is how it is and what people
You
want
can't
to do.
sugarcoat it.
And you can't sugarcoat
these
something
things.
like adults trying to have sex with kids, and this is what they say. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. So
Yeah.
I would say it's probably like a PG type channel.
You really do toe the line there, like where you're saying I do not want to show or talk about where this conversation had to go to get to the point where it is now, but some really disgusting things, and I think that I have to show it, and I really respect that. I mean, obviously you're not showing or pornography or dick pics. I can't imagine how
No, I
many
censor
dick
those.
pics you get.
Yeah, it's quite disturbing.
Yeah,
And I don't understand why you think I'm impressed by that. I don't know. Just some of these guys are just so ugh.
megalomania.
Delusional.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Delusional. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just weird. But I mean, yeah, I do censorship, of course with that, but yeah, some of the other stuff I just feel that in order for people to really understand how real of a situation this is, and I just think by censoring stuff, I just think that will kind of make it less raw.
You're polishing something that people really need to be scarred by and need to see like the badness in it, and you can't say, oh well, these guys said some salty things and
that's
blah,
the thing.
blah,
Though,
check this out. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that you are hopefully starting a very positive trend because people in society, they're just kind of in denial, I think, about the seriousness of child predation. Yeah, it's easy to go and complain and say, oh, you do something about it. This website should be in charge of doing something about it. But realistically, this problem would still exist regardless of whatever site it's occupying on.
Yeah, it takes
These
like constant monitoring.
It's clear if they don't fear the law,
they'll go somewhere else.
And they don't fear, they don't have the empathy to regret their actions, they're just going to keep doing this stuff. And it doesn't matter if YouTube or Facebook is around, they'll find ways, especially as long as the internet exists. So you are kind of forcing people to confront this issue and saying it's not just like a tiny problem. These are regular, unsuspecting people that you'd walk past on the street and not think anything about it, and they're preying on children.
Yeah, we have to have way more law enforcement patrolling the internet for the really bad people out there trying to have sex with kids. There needs to be way more sting operations, I believe, just because you can find these predators all day long. But about the censorship stuff, I remember I thought of this. I remember as a kid, like I always thought it was weird how like you remember Chris Hansen would have the transcript and he was like, and you said you wanna blank me in the blank, and he would say that, and I'm like,
yeah, like, I want to know what he's saying.
Just was,
make it vile, make me disgusted.
Yeah, I want to know what really happened. I want to know the reality of how sick some people can be, because I think that's the only way that people will get the message that there are some really, really, really sick people out there.
Sure.
And I think by saying blank me in the blank, I just don't think that
could mean kiss me on the mouth.
Enough.
I want to kiss you on the mouth, but that's not what they're saying.
It's a matter of priorities and public priorities and sort of the public agenda of what's generally considered important.
Yeah, and that's why I consider, like, even, I don't know, like, I think the Predator videos of mine, I see them as educational rather than entertaining, and I always kind of have a weird reaction internally when people say that, I'm so entertained by your videos. It's like, I mean, I know, I make jokes here and there, but it's just to lighten the mood, and, I don't know, it's just...
Well, I'm actually
really
always
serious
impressed
stuff,
by that. Like that you're in this very intense and serious situation, but you handle it with so much grace that it's like it's not like you have your hand on a firearm on your hip.
Yeah, it seems like it would be so easy to escalate a lot of these situations.
Yeah, you do a lot of de-escalation.
You've never wound up with a violent encounter.
I have to bite my tongue a lot, but I can control my emotions like that. But it's hard because I'm so angry, and it's just hard not to just destroy these guys. But I try to be calm, and I appreciate that. I do work on that.
Now,
that last guy tried to run you over. Looked like.
Yeah, I was mad.
That was kind of bizarre.
But, yeah,
and he immediately regretted it.
Well, he turned his wheel when he was reversing. He turned his wheel into me, and I was running alongside a snowbank. I wanted to get to his license plate, so I was like going behind him. But I'm like, okay, he's turning. Like, this isn't cool. And then so boom, hits the snowbank, and it's like, dude, it's like, why would you do that? Like, you think like your license plate is just, I don't know. And
No,
he apologized and
but this is the thing this is how you reacted to that guy. You walked up to his window, you knocked on their passenger side window, and you said, "Hey, did you underestimate how fit I was?" And I was
if I was any slower, he would have hit me. You know?
That was a funny joke, though. It was like,
it wasn't a joke.
I know it wasn't. It wasn't, but it was
right.
like it was almost humorous, like how you're able to handle it with that type of like, "Oh, did you just underestimate how fit I was? This guy just tried to run you over after you caught him for." Trying to meet up with an underage
just
girl.
very good at adapting and improvising.
It made me really mad because it's like if I was slower and not as agile, I guess, like the guy, he would have hit me, you know, and it's like, and he turned at me, and that made me mad. It's like, dude, just, and it's just, yeah, I wanted to yell at him more, but I don't know. I just don't think that would be professional, especially when the video is used in something as professional as a courtroom. So I know I'm recording, and I know I can't.
Like, you want to beat the shit out of this guy and pull him out of the car and say, what the fuck are you doing?
About that, I try to maintain my control and for what would be considered in a good professional courtroom setting. So I have to really watch what I say and what I do. But what a lot of people don't know is I have an outlet on there on the deep web. Testing 1 2.
I think
Darn,
it cut out again.
It cut out again. No way. What the heck?
You have
I'm
an outlet
awake.
on the deep web is where we got
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. You can just repeat that
Darn.
phrase.
All right. Okay. Cool. So yeah, that's weird because I'm on a wired connection here. It's like Comcast. Anyway, can you guys hear me for the record?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So maybe it's good it's cutting out because it's not really a good thing. But maybe there's a reason for this. Someone's controlling my internet here. What the heck? Who is that? No.
FBI.
Yeah, the FBI.
That's what they're doing.
I mean, I control myself in situations in which I know that it wouldn't be good to. Of course not. It's not good to be unprofessional and yell and doing anything physical with these guys, like beating them up, which a lot of people say they want to see. I'm not going to do that.
Well, like in Russia, they do that a lot where,
yeah,
there's really
I
no
don't
rules.
Yeah, and I'm not I have to keep it professional and clean and used to know that this is going to be seen through the eyes of the court process. And so there is I do upload some stuff on the deep web though for people who want to see a little bit more action.
Yeah, so something that you always say in your videos whenever they ask what are you going to do with this footage? What's going to happen to me? And you say that's not up to me.
That's the Chris Hansen classic
line.
line.
Is that the classic line?
Yeah.
It's just whoever I hand it off to.
I'm very I keep it very open for them to just think about it, and I don't want to give too much information because I want a lot of that stuff to be unknown to them, and then them finding out when the time comes. Just because I don't want them to think too hard, deeply about what they're going to do if. I'd rather just keep a lot of things unsaid. I'm just here to record your reaction.
Right.
And I don't want to talk too much about this stuff like later, and that's why I always kind of insinuate that by saying like, oh, like you'll find out, where it's not up to me. Yeah.
Well, you keep the conversation going, and it seems like you keep the conversation going so they have the opportunity to speak and maybe say something like, all right, fine. Because like, as you said earlier, they want to explain themselves. Why don't they just drive away? But they still stick around. It's like 30 minutes. I don't know how long these interactions normally are. But if you said something like, hey, I'm so-and-so with a YouTube channel, they'd say, oh, fuck you. But if you leave it ambiguous, they don't know. They have no idea what their next move has to be.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just, I think they wouldn't take me seriously. Like, oh, I'm just recording you for my YouTube video. And I don't want them, thinking that, oh, dude, I'm just going to take this guy's camera and just like run off and blah, blah. Like,
do you ever live stream it?
I should. I've thought about this. I've seriously considered this just in the event of if something happening like that. Just because, you can't, someone could beat me up and take the camera if they tried.
Right.
But, and have the footage because there's damning evidence on there,
Yeah, and everyone would know. But also if you live stream it, there might be things that you would want to cut out that everyone shouldn't see. Like maybe you look at, I don't know, the camera glances by your own car's license plate or something like that. I'm not sure what all you have to cut out to keep this stuff going.
Let's see. My license plate. I've seen in footage before that I've cut out. But other than that, I don't really censor anything as far as for my identity and as far as how I operate when I meet these guys. It's pretty much just what it is that you see online. So I think live streaming would be a safer option for everyone's safety, I think.
A little bit ago, you said something about it makes you feel a certain way when people comment how entertained they are by your videos, and I was hoping you could elaborate more on that because personally, and I might regret admitting this, folks,
That's fine. No, that's fine.
but I like To Catch a Predator purely because it's virtuous trolling. It's trolling with a positive It's trolling people who are trying to commit crimes, and I see it almost entirely as a dark entertainment value.
Yeah, there's no victim there.
Right.
It's so yeah, totally. Like when I was a kid watching To Catch a Predator, I'm like, this is awesome. This is so cool. Right? I love To Catch a Predator, but
It's one of the funniest shows ever made.
It was awesome. Yeah, it's like remember that guy you like walked in naked? It's like, boy, are you for real?
And it grabbed the cat.
It's great. Oh yeah, that's right. What the heck?
I love that episode.
Yeah. But it's really weird because when I first like just talking to these guys when I first started doing that and confronting them, it was different to me because it's like it wasn't entertaining. Like talking to these guys like behind a keyboard, it's not entertaining. I feel more relief when I confront them just knowing that it's going to be over because some of these conversations last so long and it's just a way to finalize it. So I have fun every now and then, and I understand like when I watch Predator videos, it's like it's entertaining. And but it's entertaining to me, but just knowing that I know a lot about this guy and what like he wanted to do, it just gives me more of like a like I'm sick of this, like this is sickening type feeling. But if I was an outsider watching my videos, I would think they're pretty entertaining.
Okay.
But I don't. Yeah, it's like I understand that totally.
Because it's not fun for you.
No,
you
it's
traumatic
fun.
it is for a lot of these situations.
It's honestly, it's really fun confronting them, and I understand why people find my videos entertaining. But at the same time, I think I should weigh more on the educational side, and I try to convey that. But I don't know, I just like having fun with it, just because it's like it helps my stress, and it's just, and
It makes you feel purposeful, right?
Yeah, it feels good knowing that hey, the police are going to know about this guy and what they're doing, and if they victimize other people or before they do, to get them behind bars. But I do think that there is a entertainment aspect of it just naturally because it's interesting to see the reactions of these people.
Oh yeah, you're going into like a very, very incredibly awkward situation that most people have zero understanding of. Where it's you're unlike To Catch a Predator, like you don't have a crew behind you, you don't have
right. To Catch a Predator takes place in a very controlled environment where law enforcement is already there,
and you're going out to a cemetery.
These remote locations with no other witnesses, and it just seems like I don't know how you could avoid thinking of the worst when anticipating these moments.
Right, and that's why I keep it kind of light and playful, and I smile and I laugh, and it's just really I understand the gravity of the situation, but I just try not to think about it too much, and in effect I say some silly stuff, but at the same time I understand the weight of it all, and I understand that these guys are here for all the wrong reasons, and I don't know, like to be honest, I'd never watch Hansen versus Predator. I've never watched a full episode of that. I've skimmed through it.
Well, that was the worst of the two.
Well, I can't watch even Predator videos anymore. I can't, like, not even my own videos. Once I upload them, that's it. That's totally it. After I upload them, I don't watch them. Unless if someone, like, wants to know a timestamp of something, or if I have to, like, watch it and then for court or whatever. But it's just so difficult because it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth to where it's like, I don't know, I've been there, I've done that, and it's just... it's not as entertaining to me.
How many times have you gone to court?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Like, do you have to face these guys? Like, you're looking at them on the stand, or is it more of a smaller type of proceeding?
So, if they fight it, then I have to go to court, and then I have to testify against them. So I'm cross-examined by the defense attorney, and then I'm asked questions by the prosecutor. And because I was subpoenaed a lot as a witness, so just to appear in court, and then a few years ago it happened a lot where like I would get these court dates and like, oh, this person's fighting it, and then like the day before the trial, them pleading guilty, and then but one guy took it to trial and lost. So, and it was weird because these questions that I was being cross-examined on, they were so stupid. Like defense attorney, he was all like, Zach Sweers, are you a girl? And I'm like no. It's like clearly I'm not. And it's like, you're not a 13-year-old girl? I'm like, no, I'm like 23 at the time. And I'm like, where is this guy going? He's like, so all these messages, you saying this and that and the other thing, that means you lied because you said you were an underage girl.
So you're already a liar.
Yeah, he said so. And he said to the jury,
unreliable witness.
Man.
Yeah, exactly. He said to the jury, he said, how can we trust anything Zach Swear said when he's been lying this whole time? Blah, blah, blah. And I told the guy, I said, look, it's not lying, it's acting. I told him, I said, dude, and I told this to the jury, I said, I cannot catch predators pretending to be who I am, a 23-year-old male. Right, therefore, I have to act as a 13-year-old girl to think. And I said, look, it's not like lying. It's like how in the world can you expect me to bust these guys in the first place? And that shut him up so quick. He was like dumbfounded.
Oh, but worst case scenario, you have a jury full of predators.
Oh boy,
I hate it when that happens.
Oh, that happens all the time. No, it doesn't. The jury was cool. They deliberated for 5 hours and they came back with a guilty as charged.
Wow, 5 hours. That's even a long time. I figured it would be like 20 minutes tops.
Yeah, it was really weird because I don't know, the guy fought it, but it was so weird. And I asked him questions like in the video, and the jury saw this. I watched it was so uncomfortable watching my video in front of in a dimmed courtroom with jury members and attorneys and judge and blah blah blah. It was weird, but it's like I said to the guy when I was talking to him, when I was confronting him, I asked him, I said, what would happen if the FBI was here right now? He's like, well, I'd be in jail right now. And it's like, dude, why are you even fighting this? Save yourself.
It's an admission.
Yeah, and so
that's what they got to do, though.
I think the jury took that into consideration. Was like, yeah, guilty.
You got to throw those things in there, even if it's right or wrong.
The guy was convicted, and he appealed. He said that, hey, my defense was insufficient because he didn't bring the entrapment defense. Like, I don't entrap people. But the Supreme Court of Michigan said, no, what Zach Swears did was not entrapment. Therefore, your conviction stands.
What would make it entrapment?
I think entrapment would be more like, boy, let's see.
Like, you'd have to actually, physically be dressed up like a 13-year-old girl?
No, not at all. I think entrapment would be more like someone saying like, "Oh, I don't want to do this," and then be like, no, come on, it's okay. It's like, oh, I'm actually an adult. Like, come on, do this, and then at the last second saying like, I'm 13. Blah, blah, blah. But it's a very gray area, and I've never seen it work. I've never seen an entrapment defense work.
The philosophy of To Catch a Predator to avoid being legally accused of entrapment was that they would go into these AOL chat rooms and stuff pretending to be a 13-year-old girl, but they would never message anybody first. They would just be talking in the general chat, and then if a predator engaged them privately, then they would continue the conversation.
Right, yeah, and that would help their cases. But certainly, if one was to be the first, I think it's all very gray, and circumstantially, it really depends. But it's really weird too because a lot of girls feel guilt, and a lot of boys and girls, a lot of victims feel guilt. Because if they're not the ones in real life who are saying, a lot of them say they're cool with it and sure, let's do this, blah blah blah, and then they have sex with a predator and they feel guilty because they thought in their mind they thought they weren't as innocent as how they were talking, right, and it's so bad because it's like they're still victims and it's not their fault. These are adults choosing to have sex with an underage girl. And it's so sad because some victims contact me and say oh, I definitely wasn't being completely innocent. I said, look, you were a kid. Adults are expected not to mess around with kids.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the age.
This is not your fault. And so that's why I get angry when people are like, oh, but you laughed at this or you in court, oh, you said this would be fine for you, blah, blah, blah. It's of course, it's not full on rape. It's statutory rape. If we're talking about, predators having sex with kids that they meet online when the victim's okay, sure, blah, blah, blah. And so, of course, a lot of it is not the quote unquote innocent type chats by the person who's being targeted. They're being taken advantage of for how naive they are. And it's just really sad when I read comments of girls and boys saying that, oh, I was totally cool with it, and I said, yeah, you can come over whenever, and blah blah blah, we can have fun.
Right.
And it's just like, and they feel so much guilt and shame, and it's just it's bad. And the predator uses that and said, oh, you wanted it, blah blah blah, you asked for it. It's, no one would believe, no one would care.
What are
blah,
the
blah.
odds?
It's your fault. You know,
what are the odds that someone would actually follow up with one of these conversations for the sole purpose of telling the girl or the boy, the victim, that they shouldn't be doing what they're doing? Because that's like a big defense. I only came out here to tell them that they shouldn't be doing this. What if someone actually was doing that?
Yeah, that would basically just be like suicide for them as far as getting themselves in trouble. But I have heard that excuse, and it makes no sense.
I hear it all the time.
It makes no sense when you send a picture of your penis once. It's like, then why did you do that? So you have to, like, or anything like that, use that as an example. But it's like then why did you say like this, and then why did you say blah blah blah? And so you can, it's BS.
There
It's
was an
complete
episode
BS.
where something like this happened on To Catch a Predator, and I think it was perhaps a brilliant maneuver on the part of the predator. He wrote something that they called an alibi letter, where in
his car,
in the glove compartment of his car, he wrote a letter saying, "I met this girl online, but I am not a predator. I'm going to her house to tell her that this was a bad thing." But it actually fucking worked, because at the end of the episode, Chris said, all the predators you saw in this episode have gone to trial, except for the alibi letter guy. They're still figuring his shit out. I'm like, what the fuck? That actually...
No way.
They tricked him? What?
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that. I thought...
Yeah, it's reasonable doubt.
What? Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, and it's really the only excuse you can do. You know, and I'm surprised more predators don't do that. But
when you mentioned in part one that guy who sent you that essay, my mind was thinking, that sounds like a fucking alibi letter to me. I think when you meet this guy on Sunday, he's going to try to bring that up and say, "Oh no, it was blah blah blah."
Well, no. Here's the thing about that. So after he wrote that alibi, no, it was not an alibi. He was sincere about it and blah blah. As far as I think in the moment, he was like, "Let's definitely not do this." But he messaged me later, like much later, days later, and said that, hey, like, blah, 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 like, I want to meet you, blah, blah. And then he started talking really, really graphically again and saying that he wants to, stick his blah, blah, blah and come, and he wants to check. He is so bad. He even said he wants to bring his camera. He wants to videotape this. He wants to take pictures. He is one of the worst persons I've ever dealt with, and I thought he wasn't going to do it. I thought he had second thoughts into where he's not going to do it, and then he totally disappears. He deletes his account. Then he comes back and he contacts me again, and he wants to do it. So, and it's just like, dude, no. But it makes me so mad, because it makes me have no hope for these people being helped. I do not think they will ever get help.
Yeah.
Right,
so whenever I'm sorry, but like whenever they decide last minute not to pull the trigger and go through with it, does that sting a little bit? Like, wouldn't you prefer that they did, so that you could actually have the video evidence and get them put away? Because who knows if they change their mind in the future.
The only time I'm really disappointed is when they ask for like nudes and stuff, because that's a really big crime.
Oh yeah.
And talking alone is, and even mentioning the idea of meeting up is too. But because I want their face, and I want to have that evidence. But yeah, sometimes it's just like dang, it's like you've said all this crap, and then you're not gonna like follow through with it, and it makes me mad, because I want to get a really good ID on these guys, because I'm still gonna report them anyway. But it's just in the eyes of the law, you need so much evidence and to prove that this is the person that you said and stuff. But for the most part, it's kind of it's relieving to think that this person wouldn't actually meet up and chickened out. I like it when they chicken out, when they say that, no, I thought about this and I could go to prison. I still report them, but I'm satisfied to know that they have at least some sense to not do this. And mostly it's fear of getting caught. All the time it's never, I don't think you're real, I'm not gonna like go over there, blah blah blah, because I can make you think I'm real. So
right here we've talked at length about the predator, but
what about the alien?
Yeah, what about the alien? I just want to point
alien
out
versus
that,
predator.
Thank you.
So in all these interactions, there's two sides to it. And obviously it's absurd to blame the victim in this case, because these are children.
But hypothetically, if you were to do that, how would it sound?
Better. Well, I'm not going to do it.
Like hypothetically, if Emp was going to blame the victim, what would he say?
Well, there's just no way to.
Oh,
Yeah, you can't blame the victim.
Just checking.
Well, as I was saying, they're just too immature, and they don't know any better. But
saying they don't know any better, that seems like a strong.
No, they don't.
No, that's the essence of
the victim. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
You thought they're predators?
yeah.
It's okay.
I take it back.
Okay.
But anyway, with that being said, to what extent or how much blame should be placed on the shoulders of the parents who are sort of neglectful and they allow their kids to wind up in these situations in chat rooms with random strangers, many of whom could be predators and many of whom turn out to be predators?
I think parents need to really understand that there are lots of people online that want to have sex with their kids. And I think therefore they should really put in place some rules, maybe if we're talking young kids, some software on their phones that prevents them from accessing certain stuff that is deemed dangerous. But at the same time, anything for kids is there'll be predators that follow. That's why I think parents should really understand the gravity of the situation and talk to their kids about this problem and that there are really, really sick people out there, and say that they are very deceitful. They'll lie about their age. They'll say they're someone they're not, like a celebrity, right? Or something that happens a lot.
I feel like generationally, we're at sort of an impasse where
totally.
A lot of kids today, their parents are at an age where perhaps they were young when the internet came out, or maybe not at all, and they didn't even use the internet in their childhoods. But there's a fundamental disconnect between parents of youth on the internet today, where a lot of these parents do not understand the capabilities of the internet, and they don't understand what people can possibly do with these online forms of communication. And I think a lot of them they're under the impression that the internet is just Facebook memes and Netflix and a bunch of innocent stuff, and they really
totally.
It's very difficult to grasp that concept. I've been on the internet since a very young age, and you have to sort of use it frequently and explore a lot and get around to realize the depths and the darkness of what some of these people online are capable of doing, and how the internet is weaponized to use, at least in this case, as a tool for child predation.
I actually disagree, if I can butt in. I think, I don't mean to say it's the current year, but To Catch a Predator came out in 2004. If you still in 2019 don't realize that there are predators on the internet, as a parent, like, you've got to be literally fucking retarded. I think you're giving them the benefit of the doubt.
No, I think a lot of parents may trust their kids too much into thinking the parents themselves could be naive and thinking that, oh, my kid won't do that, my kid knows better, blah blah blah. And that's good to trust your kid, but verify. Trust but verify. It's amazing that To Catch a Predator was a long time ago, but I think still the internet is sort of misunderstood, and that parents just need to be more careful. Like our parents. All you guys are in your 20s?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so like our parents, didn't grow up with internet, and
right.
Yeah, and it's so different. Like I first got the internet when I was at home when I was 12, and like my parents never like checked out what I was doing, and so I think in the future, I don't know if it'll change though, because here's the problem. I was talking this about my mom recently. Like it seems like parents these days, I don't want to generalize, but I see a lot of them, it's just they don't give their kids enough attention. But that could be true back in the day too, I don't know. But it just seems like they just let them do whatever on their phones or whatever, and it's just, I worry about that, because I think you really need to talk to kids and spend time with them and just getting a mutual understanding of the bad things out there.
Yeah, so I'm not a parent, so I wouldn't know the exact mentality for sure, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's kind of common to eventually let your kid go off on their own. It's just sort of a coming of age thing where obviously you don't want to baby them their whole lives because that can lead to issues. But 25 years ago, you let your kid roam on their own and they just go for a bike ride in the neighborhood, and hopefully come back. But today, letting your kid roam on the internet, that is just, it's so much more open to just mass either voyeurism or contact from predators, where in the real world, if you're just biking around your neighborhood, you can see it coming and it's easier to avoid the stranger. But online, people are anonymous, and it's just, you can instantaneously contact anyone no matter where you are in the world. And I feel like that's what a lot of parents, at least in the current generation of kids, that's what a lot of these parents underestimate about the internet.
Yeah, and I think there is sort of a, what's the word? I think there is more of a disconnect between what's going on online and what's going on, quote unquote, in real life, to where I think a lot of people don't understand that the people online, this person who exists online also exists. He's a real person, or she's a real person, female predators, that can be converted from someone on a screen to in your daughter's bedroom having sex with her, you know? And so I think that connection needs to be more clear, pronounced, and talked about. And that's why, like, with the videos, I try to do good transitions about saying, like, well, this is what the person said, this is their profile, blah, blah, blah. And then boom, it's translated into in the flesh. And I think stuff like that needs to be shown more to really show people the true dangers, that these people are real. They're not just some person online. Like, you know, they're real people. They want to do real bad stuff.
I think part of the blame can go on the shoulders of the media, where, like we talked about earlier in this episode, for some reason they harp on and on about how YouTube is this dangerous place. And there's so many parents out there, they're not on YouTube. They don't pay attention to anything that's going on YouTube, so they have to take the news's word for it. So they think that if this is the only thing that's reported, they think that this is the only site where the pedophiles are, when really it's probably so much more of a risk for your kid to be on Snapchat. But like I said, for whatever reason, the media has chosen to ignore what is clearly demonstrably a far more pressing problem, and parents only respond to the news. Like I said, it's a generational thing. I'm part of a generation that is so skeptical of the news, and I feel like the majority of people my age, either they don't get their news from mainstream publications, rather they rely on either independent YouTube personalities or sites like Reddit, where it aggregates news from a community, but they don't trust these news institutions. Well, that's where we differ a lot from people maybe 20, 30 years older than us, where there's still a lot of people that age that trust the news, and they won't trust what any Joe Schmo on YouTube has to say, but they'll trust it if it's coming out of the mouth of big professional looking newscaster on your cable news network.
Yeah, and it's a joke too, because firsthand being in the media, so like the local media here.
Oh, you see how they spin all the stories.
Oh yeah.
It's to have
ridiculous.
Be sensational rather than to get down to the actual source of the problem.
Yeah, like I've told this station not to come to my apartment. They keep on coming over. I told them, I said, like, dude, like, don't come here, blah blah blah. They came over and they were like, they said, hey, we want to talk to you. So I'm like, I said, I'll be right down. You know, I just to tell them off, like just to say, hey guys, the landlord doesn't want you here. I don't want you here.
Also, don't fucking dox me.
Yeah, and so I told them, I said, like, just, like, please leave me alone, you know, this, and they said, like, what? And they kept on asking questions, and I was just ignoring them, and just telling them to, like, please respect the space here, and blah, blah, blah. And they said, like, what inspires you to do this, blah, 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 and I said, look, it's not about me, blah, blah, blah. And that's all I said to them as far as answering any of their questions, just casually. Like, it's not about me. Like, why are you so focused on me about, this is when it, like, broke about some guy in the city was, you know, pretending to be a girl, catching predators, whatever. And they went to the station. They all hyped it up, like, in an exclusive interview with the vigilante, blah, blah. It's like, I've never said a bit. And here's what's twisted about the media. I've never called myself a vigilante, but check this out. A lot of media outlets would say, like, oh, self-proclaimed vigilante.
Charles
and they put,
Bronson.
And they
It's
put
just
in quotes.
dishonest.
I'm like, dude, I've never said I was a vigilante. You're saying I'm a self-proclaimed vigilante. And I would read the comments of people on the news articles saying like, oh my goodness, this guy's like a vigilante. He says, it's like, dude, don't believe what you hear, moron, you know?
Well, that's the problem.
It's fucked up. Yeah, they don't give a fuck about the actual issue. They just they know what's gonna hype it up. They want you to be in a Batman suit.
People trust the media. People trust it. It's crazy.
I definitely feel like in the future, once people our age start having kids, I know when the time comes for me to have kids, I definitely won't let them online.
I'm not gonna let them leave the house
because I know for a fact what people online are capable of and how easy it is to fall into one of those traps.
Yeah, can we all agree that giving a kid 13 or under an iPhone is literally child abuse?
Oh yeah, dude.
It's very
You should have
irresponsible.
a fucking flip phone until you're 14.
But like I said,
Yeah,
it comes
totally.
from
I had a
a
flip phone until I was
total
25.
ignorance of people that age where they're not entirely familiar with the internet and they don't really understand the scope of it.
And let me speak
give
from
us-
experience. If I could go back in time and prevent myself from everything I posted on the internet between the ages of 11 and 16, I would fucking do it. These kids might think it's unfair. We're looking out for your best interest. Nothing you're posting at the age of 12 you will look back on as an adult and think, oh yeah, I'm glad I posted that online under my name.
As a matter of fact, and that's another interesting conundrum where a lot of these kids are posting really weird and sometimes offensive stuff online at like the age of 12. What are they going to do in 8 years when it's time to get a job interview and they run a basic background check? I'm just lucky I was born just soon enough where when I was like really young, I wasn't able to post that much stuff online because a lot of these kids are going to have tangible records going back to maybe age 7 or earlier than that.
We've got to get kids the fuck off the internet. I'm not even being ironic anymore. It's so disgusting to me.
No,
And
it
I do
is.
think-
they should not be watching any of the content on YouTube.
I do think that might change though, because we're part of a generation, maybe the first generation that's been really savvy with the internet and knows what's up, and we're gonna know the dangers of it and parent accordingly based on that.
Zach, I don't know if this is a question that you feel like you have any authority to speak on, but what do you think that apps like Kik or Snapchat could do to prevent child predation?
They need to develop algorithms that will determine the risk level of the conversation. And I know that may sound intrusive, but when you have kids online, I think the private sector should take that more seriously to develop software, to develop algorithms, and through AI determine if something is really sketchy, and make sure that there's no connection, and make sure that it's stuff like that is monitored.
And the sad truth is that it seems like they won't do it unless there's a public outcry for it.
Look at Craigslist,
which is really rotten, because it seems like that should be one of their main priorities, to protect their users, especially protecting children. But it seems like, especially in the case of Snapchat and all these other sites that have been around now for years and years, and they're a hotbed for forming these predation-like relationships, they just seemingly have been doing virtually nothing to stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like on the news, like about 25 miles from here, this was only like a week ago, some guy was arrested for having sex with someone, they didn't specify the age, but they said under 12, who he met through Snapchat, just like locally here, and just happens all the time.
No, we don't need fucking algorithms for Snapchat. When you make your Snapchat account, you submit a photo of your fucking birth certificate, and if you're not 18,
right.
you don't get an account.
Yeah.
Stronger
agree.
age verification.
Yeah, absolutely.
but
Because
sadly,
anyone can make up an age and get through some hoops, and they'll just fall victim. You know,
they do it on YouTube. YouTube age limit is supposed to be 13 to upload a video, and yet there's videos of kids uploading themselves.
Yeah, I don't get that. What's up with that? I noticed that too.
10 or 12.
I mean, I remember
it's just, these things don't get enforced, and
no, not at all.
It's either very hard to enforce it, and I'm sure it is.
Well,
and
I think
these
YouTube embraces it.
Yeah, and
It's crazy.
It's funny because not even YouTube does it, and they're one of the people who've been doing the most to try to combat child predation on their platform, while sites like Snapchat and Kick and all those other ones you listed have been very complacent. But the thing is, it's just not a priority for them. A lot of these companies are public and they have shareholders, and they don't want to divert resources to deal with what is a very pressing problem unless they risk losing money not doing so.
Children are just a cash cow to them.
A media frenzy reports on them, and then investors threaten to pull out unless they do it. That's the only thing that will compel these companies to do it, but it's just not a priority for them unless it threatens them financially.
No, yeah, you said it best. They're not in a business to protect people per se. They're in the business to make money, and they will until their bottom line's affected. I completely, wholeheartedly agree.
The sad thing is they know that a lot of their user base and a lot of the users, the monthly active users they show investors, are based on really young teens or children, which is why, at least I feel, that they don't enforce these age limits, because if they did, then they'd be kicking half their users out of the door and sending them over to some competitor who overlooks it.
And they're impressionable too. Kids are impressionable. You promote them a product, they're going to tell mommy and daddy, I want this, all the cool kids.
Oh yeah, and this is something that I kind of forget about as I get older, but I remember being a kid and I would fucking buy anything that Bam Margera was selling,
even to this day.
No, and like that was the Logan Paul, Jake Paul of my generation.
Was Jackass?
To this day, yeah,
totally.
I'm not still buying Bam Margera merch for the record.
He is not sponsored by Dollar Shave Club. Clearly.
Yeah, child advertising is an entirely separate issue, but it all stems from the same thing where kids are really naive and young and they don't know any better, and these platforms sort of just open up the door to them. They write in the legal fine print like, oh yeah, technically you're not supposed to open your account until you're this age, but realistically they rely on all of these people, and advertisers pay top dollar to advertise these people, and it's in the best interests of all of these powerful institutions to keep young kids on these sites.
All right, boys, this is a very cute conversation, but we are hitting the threshold on the data recording over here, so I think we should wrap it up very quickly. Zach, I want you to, if you have any final thoughts or like advice for the parents at home, because we have a lot of parents in the audience, I think now would be a good time. And please plug all of your internet stuff.
Oh, no, I don't... Other than for the plugs, subscribe to PewDiePie. That's it.
Well, like what's that website again? For anyone that may be victim to predators.
Cybertipline.org. You can report a predator there, and if someone is being weird to you online in any way, grooming you, asking for news, blah blah, by all means report them, because I'm sure they've done it to other people, and I'm sure some other people wouldn't tell mom and dad what's really going on. So. Make the decision to do that, and be confident, be strong, and talk to people. Talk to someone about it. Talk to an adult that you trust, and by any means, just do it, and you'll feel that a lot of weight has been lifted off your shoulders, and just follow through with it. And just
I know that we have some very young viewers listening. There's a few of them, or possibly more, but my advice to them is to be very careful with who you talk to online. I know you hear it all the time, probably, but people keep repeating this because it's very important.
Yeah.
You have to be very skeptical online of who you trust.
Extremely.
Especially if you're young. And don't try not to talk to people unless you know them in real life.
Yeah, and also, be very vigilant as far as the people who you deal with online or in real life. And just see it coming too, like predators. A predator isn't just gonna, not all of them. A predator isn't just gonna, the first thing he's gonna say, oh, I want to have sex with you. It's not gonna be like that. He's gonna want to be your friend first, and he's gonna want to butter you up, and you won't even realize it. And they can be so manipulative, and it takes time, and you just don't talk to them. Just don't, any adult that wants to talk to you, if you're a kid, that's not right. That's wrong. And just be super, super skeptical, and talk to your parents about it. Talk to people at school about it, your elders, teachers, whatever. And just do it. Just execute and say that that, hey, you know, this is what's been going on. This person has said this. And if they don't fall victim to the whole game of them saying, oh, it will be your fault, blah, blah, blah. They're using you. They're trying to take advantage of you, and they want to manipulate you, and they want to control you. Don't be controlled. Get out of that trap.
Fuck yeah, Zach. Zach, you've done great work online, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do continuing forward. I love all your videos, whether they're dumpster diving or the predator videos. So definitely keep doing it, and I hope we can have you on again in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. That was it was very very nice being on here. Thank you a lot, guys.
Yeah, it's one of the most entertaining
been
podcasts.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I didn't like the part where you said you wanted to play with Legos during the show, so I'm glad you didn't do that. But otherwise, I had a great time.
3 hours is a long time to not
It's
play
hilarious.
with Legos.
Yeah, the Legos would be too loud, all of the clinging and bashing. So that's good.
You would think that'd be obvious, but some people they don't realize. See you next time, folks.